Hello everyone, friends. Before you watch this video, I wanted to remind you once again, if you're interested in developing your personal brand as a doctor and growing your social and professional networks, you can read this book, join the online course on building a dentist's personal brand, or sign up for one-on-one personal coaching with me. All the details can be found at the links in the description. I wish you an enjoyable viewing experience and see you at the training. I'd like to give a brief summary, if I may. How has the topic of personal branding changed over the past year? I see a very clear and undeniable trend, and I think you undoubtedly do too, that over the past year there has been a truly huge and significant surge of widespread interest in this particular and important topic. After all, the entire world is constantly changing, life itself is perpetually evolving, and the remarkably high level of pervasive internet socialization among people naturally sets its own unique and compelling rules. Yes, in the past, whether or not to run a blog was more of a personal choice, I would say, right? Now, the current situation is a bit different, and indeed quite distinct. Overall, at this particular moment in time, no one is really truly forcing you yet to actively run your social media accounts or to diligently maintain your dental blogs. However, we are steadily and undeniably moving toward a crucial point where, as I personally and clearly see it, after a certain period of time, your professional blog will inevitably become a very strong and influential lever of significant influence on whether you ultimately get hired or not. And this will be a critical factor in your career progression. So a great blog that brings in patients is always a huge plus for reasonable, sensible employers who understand that through a blog, a doctor can attract great high-quality patients. I think that now we're already moving away from the model where employers are kind of afraid, that if a doctor is very well known and has their own patients through their blog, that they will sort of take patients away from the clinic. I think that now we're entering a reality where basically every doctor already has a blog to some extent. But as I see it, the market is evolving in such a way that, employers are just trying to offer more comfortable working conditions. Yes, and in general, I often say on my blog that it's absolutely not necessary to open your own clinic. That is, this used to be a very effective path, for example, in terms of increasing income and so on. Now, there are many other opportunities emerging, and I know many examples of people who opened a clinic and then returned to employment, or who tried to open a clinic and something didn't work out, things didn't come together, and they ended up in financial difficulties. Because opening a clinic really requires you to have the skills of a businessman, an entrepreneur, and the more of an entrepreneur you truly become, the less time you will ultimately have left to simply be a dedicated doctor and actually genuinely enjoy the entire process of treating your valued patients. There's this general background in the evolution of the dental profession that you absolutely have to open your own clinic if you want to earn good money and overall be a respected doctor, right? I mean, what kind of doctor are you if you don't have your own clinic? But now, with the advent of the internet, social networks, and personal brands, you can significantly increase your income with a great blog, and opening your own clinic is no longer a necessity. That is, many doctors by temperament are not entrepreneurs or business people. So, for many doctors would much rather just work with patients and not deal with, say, learning accounting, setting up an LLC, marketing, and so on. In short, just focus on working with patients. And today's world offers amazing opportunities for doctors to realize themselves professionally simply by consistently focusing on dedicated clinical practice and diligently putting a significant bit of effort into thoughtfully developing your professional blog, just thoroughly understanding the fundamental basics of precisely how it all effectively works and operates. You can confidently and successfully land a desirable job at a truly great and reputable clinic with genuinely excellent and favorable terms in your professional relationship with your employer. That's absolutely it. So if you come to a clinic without a personal brand, without a blog, without your own patients, basically at this stage, you're not bringing any value to the clinic where you're applying. Accordingly, there are quite a lot of people like you who come for interviews, so the employer is in a stronger position here and can already give you, basically they can dictate their own terms. But when you come in with a blog that actually brings you real patients, you get to work at the clinic on your own terms. I think at the very least, you can negotiate a high percentage for seeing your own patients from your blog. In reality, renting a space is becoming more and more expensive. That is, medicine is becoming more complex, including dentistry. And if you really add everything up, usually the clinics that doctors open are basically clinics with just one main doctor. So yes, for example, if I open a clinic, it's usually a clinic under my name, and the main flow of patients will be coming to me. But when you open your own clinic, you already need to shift your focus to attracting patients in order to keep the doctors you've brought onto your team busy. You need to buy equipment and purchase or rent a space. So you're thinking about a lot of things that aren't directly related to dental treatment, all these microscopes, scanners, and so on. And on the other hand, you can get a job at a great clinic where all of this is already in place, because nowadays there are clinics opening that aren't started by doctors, but simply by business people, where that is by people who don't see patients themselves, but focus solely, specifically, well, only on the dental business. And actually, it's a really great opportunity to work with excellent equipment. For example, when you apply to work at such a clinic, you need to speak to the boss in his own language. That is the fact that you are a wonderful, outstanding doctor. That's all well valuable for a doctor who is opening their own clinic. But if it's a business person, they think in slightly different, well, let's say categories. Of course, first and foremost, it's important to him that you are a professional, but he also takes into account how well you can sell. This commercialized medicine, I'm not really a fan of how all of this sounds, to be honest. And I think many doctors feel the same way. But when we're talking about private dentistry, it's still, well, a certain business model. And here the fact of promoting your services, yes, properly packaging and presenting your services, your medical care, plays a big role in how successful your dental career will be when working as an employee in top clinics. So what I mean is that before, you used to work, well, without a blog. You developed through word of mouth. And if you wanted to open your own clinic, you had to go through that whole process, which took a really long time. That is, you're no longer just thinking about treating patients. You also have to think about how to buy a microscope, how to buy a scanner, and so on. That is, you also have to figure out how to keep the whole staff busy with work. But when you're a doctor with a strong personal brand and a well-developed blog, you come to a clinic and the clinic already has all of this in place. So with the help of your blog and a certain level of recognition in dental circles, you can work, first of all, under excellent conditions, and secondly, in top-notch clinics. I have a lot of acquaintances who are just, regular employed doctors, posting their work mainly with a focus on patients, but great employers found them. These were top clinics with huge financial resources, and they would invite the person to work for them because there were real cases, satisfied patients, and the person would come in and work within a great system. Everything was already organized and thought out for them. You get to work under excellent conditions in a great place. You feel super comfortable and you're working as part of a team. And if the clinic is really good, then the whole team is great too. And being surrounded by them helps you develop and grow as well. So you remain passionate about your work. You don't have to learn all those business and entrepreneurial things. You just work with patients and get a huge amount of satisfaction from it. The point is, you can now increase your income without necessarily opening your own clinic.